Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. This is my October 2023 recap video. So I will, as usual in these recap videos, I'll be sharing general kind of life update stuff, decks I've bought, decks I've worked with, books I've read, and the state of my decks to explore further / deck wish list that I keep in my planner. September's update was shitty, as those who watched it will remember. Didn't have the best September. So I'll just note here, if you want to avoid kind of medical related things that you might want to go to the timestamps and skip ahead. I had mentioned in my September recap video that my hair had started falling out very quickly and noticeably during that month. And at the time I had filmed the September recap, I was waiting to see a specialist. So that happened. And he basically confirmed what my family doctor had kind of thought and what I had kind of thought, which was that the hair loss is related to having had a really high fever in early August when I had the flu. So my hair is continuing to fall out. It may, do that a little while longer. He does expect it to be temporary. I have some, medications and things to help me along, but it is relieving to know that it's nothing like otherwise medically serious kind of thing. So I'm happy about that. I did decide to just cut everything off. Right now, I am, it is recommended to me to not be using like shampoos or styling products or anything like that other than the medicated shampoo that I've been given by prescription that I can only use a couple times a week. So I just figured, why not cut it all off? And weirdly, I feel more comfortable like this. I wore a hat in my September recap. I felt like the thinning was getting very, very noticeable. But now, having just gotten the buzz cut, I feel like somehow the thinness is less noticeable. And I feel like it's probably just because when you have a buzz cut, like there's an amount of scalp visibility that is just like expected. So maybe it just looks less obvious to me. I don't know if it makes any sense. I don't know if it's true, but regardless, I do feel more comfortable now. I'm doing okay. The kind of scalp irritation stuff has been like clearing up really quickly with the prescription support. So like that part is good. I'm going to see the specialist again in about 5 months. It is a long-term issue. It's temporary, hopefully, presumably, but also not like a fast to resolve issue. So that's where that is. The last time also that I had updated in the September recap, my spouse had COVID and I didn't. Needless to say, I got COVID. I think it was the day after I filmed my September recap video. I ended up testing positive. We had tried to kind of distance within our house once Chris started testing positive, and I was consistently testing negative for a couple days there. We didn't do a very good job. We were not surprised by this. So that was the first time for us, unless we had an asymptomatic case or something, but we had never had any indication that we had had it before. And gratefully we had a pretty mild time of it. We both feel good now. So I'm grateful to have that behind us. And Chris had actually lost his taste buds for a while, but got them back after about 8 days or so, just in time for his birthday. So we were able to have the birthday dinner that was hoped for. Obviously, we were not like out in a restaurant or anything, but we were able to get takeout anyway in a safe way, and that was a nice thing. So I would say that there's been a lot. There's been a lot September, October, but I feel like I'm doing pretty well, actually. Like, I feel pretty good. I had mentioned my second job had really picked up. It is going to slow down again, which is nice. I did work. I had booked off for my day job, and I ended up working a 16-hour day with my second job yesterday. So I was at my second job yesterday until 1:45 in the morning, and then I went to my day job for my 8:30 in the morning shift today. So I'm tired, but feeling good. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a good November. I have a little trip next weekend. So November 4th, Saturday. I'm just going to go, I'll just be in a little cabin very close to home just for one night, just a little kind of off-grid, solar-powered, quiet country night away, which is really nice. And I'm also looking forward to, I signed up for a class, 6-week class on moon magic and working with lunar cycles with Stars Dance Mystery School. So I'm really excited about that. And it's kind of a Discord, Zoom, handouts combo in terms of the kind of delivery of that. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. I'm hoping that November is good. And then when it comes to November, my general life updates section of the November recap video is like fun experiences and not let me tell you about my health. So that's that. I did also get new eyeglasses. So that was like another health thing. It was a very health heavy October with a lot of medical appointments. But gratefully, those appointments yielded help when needed. And some of them were just kind of routine things, including getting an eye exam. So I got these sweet glasses, which I'm quite happy with. They're a bit of a different shape for me. I don't know that the rounder shape is my thing, but I like the color a lot. I also got some new sunglasses, which I would like to show just because I think they're fucking amazing. Look at these. Look at how good this is. These like slanted aviator style. I'm into this. I've never had the tint at the top and not the tint at the bottom. It will take some getting used to because every time I move my head, like the colors of everything changes, but I think that they will be really nice to wear. So that's my general life updates for October. Decks I have purchased and or received this month. I bought a deck that I'm very excited about, which is called Le Tarot des Paysages Intérieurs. Here it is, the title card, so you can see the name there. And this is Tarot of Inner Landscapes. And this is a very abstract deck. It is, of course, a French deck. I'm looking forward to really getting to know this one. It feels like quite a wintry deck in many ways to me, this one. And I think it's just fascinating and beautiful. So this is one that I've been excited about. It's one that I haven't gotten too deep into yet, in part because the deck just comes like this, wrapped in paper when you get it. Just like this paper. Which is completely fine by me, and I totally get, like, the creator mentions in the Etsy, item description for this. Like, I'm not putting it in a box, or anything like that because, people complain about crappy boxes and like to put their decks in bags. So, like, here's the deck and you can put it in whatever you want kind of thing. But it has meant that, like, until I have a bag for it, which I have picked one, so I'm happy with that. Until I have a bag for it, it's like I've had it sitting on my desk because it's, it doesn't have anything to live in, and I want to make sure that, like, a card doesn't slide away or something like this, so I've been kind of saving it. I'm very excited about that one. That one captivated me immediately, and I was just like, yes, this is a really cool deck that I want to look at. The other deck that I bought, maybe some people will be like, oh, of course you did. This was, of course, going to happen. is a deck that has been on and off the wish list, as people who watch this recap every month will know, has been on there multiple times, and I've removed it, and I've put it back on the list, and I've removed it from the list. And that is the Flow Tarot. And this is, of course, the water-themed, nature-based photography deck. And this one had been repeatedly on and off my wish list. On my wish list because, you know, as many of you will know, nature-based photography decks are an absolute favorite of mine. Decks like Naturescapes, Tarot of Architectural Objects, even decks like Majestic Earth, which is not photography, but it's certainly like very realistic paintings. I really like these kind of scenery-based decks, and so this one immediately appealed. I'm also a Pisces, so the water theme, of course, appeals to me. What kept it off the list, or kept it going off the list, was the fact that there are titles on the cards in addition to the name of the card itself. So you can see here, maybe you can see here, if the camera cooperates, maybe, there we go. You can see that they all have these titles on them, and that can be something that I don't get along with all the time. And some of these suit renamings are not intuitive to me. But this one went on and off my list enough times that I felt like, okay, something about this is clearly attracting me and drawing me to it. And I want to, see what working with it is like. That could have obviously gone the other way. I could have thought to myself, well, I keep putting this on and off and on and off. Clearly, I feel lukewarm about it. Put it off the list. But I felt like, okay, there's enough about this that intrigues me and interests me that I would like to see what it's about. So what I'm going to be doing is doing a bit of a deep dive with this deck. And I made a video recently about deep dives and some activity ideas for a deep dive with a deck. And so I'm going to be doing a deep dive with this deck, which I will film and share with you whenever I feel that it's completed. In part with the desire to figure out whether I want to use this as a tarot or an oracle, because I do kind of think it could go either way. And I think that figuring that out for myself, and again, just for myself, somebody else might feel differently about it. Figuring that out for myself is going to be pretty integral to me figuring out a way to love using this deck. So that will be something that I will be sharing as it goes. Those are the two decks that I bought this month. I also did some Kickstartering. I have backed the Ink Witch Tarot. It doesn't actually close. Like, the Kickstarter doesn't end, I think, until November 1st. But I've backed it, and I'm going to be backing it, and it's fully funded. And I'm very excited about Ink Witch Tarot. If you haven't seen it, go search it on Kickstarter, check it out. The creator also made the Endless Oracle, which I love. And so I'm really excited for the Ink Witch. It's a deck that's been out before, so this is a kind of new edition. And there's some expansion packs and things, and like a really, really good campaign. So I'm very excited about Ink Witch. I had initially backed just for the Ink Witch Tarot, but then Lisa Papez did a walkthrough of all of the expansion packs, and I might have changed my pledge a little bit. a lot of bit. Now there's a lot of extra cards coming to me, so I'm excited about that, as well as expansion pack for the Endless Oracle, which I'm very excited about. I also have currently backed Usi's new deck, the Solus Ocasim Lux Bromalis, which is on Kickstarter right now. I'm not sure how much is left in that campaign, and I'm not sure if I'll stick with it. Sometimes I'll back something and then I'll change my mind. But I do really like Lino Cut a lot, and I really like black and white decks a lot. I like pip decks a lot. So there's a lot of things about it that are appealing to me. There are also not a lot of cards visible. Lino Cut is time consuming. So, it's always a gamble backing something, I feel like, when there's not all the cards to see. Now, with it being a pip deck, the minors, I can kind of figure what those are going to look like. But obviously with Usi, like their products are very well made. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the shipping or like any of those issues, but I do wish I could see more cards. So we'll see. That's the decks that I've bought or received this month. Other decks that I have been working with this month. My Marseille Plan de Vie review copy I've been playing around with a lot in advance of that deck coming to me. Tarot of the Crystal World and the Crystal World Oracle I'm obsessed with. I feel like I've been using that more than anything else since it came. So I've been using that deck a lot. I've used Dust to Onyx this month. I've used Tildwick this month. I have worked with the Triomphe della Luna this month. I've used the Dark Moon Damsel Oracle this month. And right now, a deck that I've been using for my daily draws, I've been using the Orion's Tarot. And this is just a deck that I don't really know why, but when I got this deck, which was quite a while ago now, I didn't use it a ton. And I don't know if it's just that it feels like a really autumnal deck and it was kind of waiting, to feel like it was the one that I wanted to work with seasonally or what. But I've been using this one for daily draws for a couple of weeks, and I really like it. I feel like the animals are really well chosen. I think this is mass market now. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. This was a Kickstarter, and now it's mass market, I think, by Amazon. I really like the color palette of this. And so I've been using this alongside the Urban Crow Oracle, actually, which is fun. So I've worked with a lot of decks this month, and that's been good. I'm enjoying that. So lots of deck Tarot Oracle pairing, experimenting, and things like this. So that's been good. Books that I have read and finished this month is next. So every October I tend to try to read the creepy or spooky or horror books that have made it onto my books to read list in the last year or so. So October tends to be kind of spooky book heavy for me, and sometimes there's a little bit of a bleed into November with that, but October tends to be spooky books. Now, it wasn't all spooky books though, so I'll get to those ones after. I reread a book this month. I am not a big rereader. I almost never reread anything. Maybe a nonfiction, like philosophy texts for sure, like something that I'm really grappling with. But fiction I don't reread, really. With the exception of when I was teaching and particular books were, books that I was assigning to my students and designing assignments around and things like that. Those obviously, there's an amount of rereading required, but I don't reread a lot. I reread This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amel El-Motar and Max Gladstone. And this is a science fictional novella that follows two soldiers in a time war who are going up and down timelines and, making subtle, sometimes big changes to events to change how those timelines work out, further down into the future. And each one is working for a kind of organization is not the quite right word, but kind of working for a side that has very different visions of what the future should be, right? And has very different interests. And the two of them begin to exchange taunting kind of letters that turn into something else in tone quite quickly. This book is extraordinary. The writing in this book is extraordinary. It's very referential. It's very intertextual. It's beautiful, beautiful book. So I would definitely recommend this one. It was very awarded, I think, and like nominated and winning for a lot of different awards when it came out, which was quite a few years ago now. It's still fairly recent. It might have been 2019, maybe. Don't quote me on that, but thereabouts. Wonderful. Wonderful novella, very short as well, like single sitting kind of read. If you like to read for hours, wonderful. I also read a brand new release called Sacred Gender, Create Trans and Non-Binary Spiritual Connections. And this is by Ariana Serpentine. This is published by Llewellyn. And this was pretty good, I will say. So the table of contents, just to get a sense of what is there. What is gender? Gender in paganism and polytheism, gender and the dead, gods and gender, who are you, and elements of gender. So this, has a fair amount of pretty introductory information in terms of kind of gender identity related terminology and like trans related terminology, which I didn't need, but which I'm glad is there because it's done well. And I think that, depending on who's reading this book, I think it would be beneficial for that to be there. She talks a little bit about different kind of modes of exclusion that happen in pagan spaces. She talks about kind of honoring trans ancestors and queer ancestors and ancestors of gender and, relationships with ancestors, complicated relationships with ancestors, about different deities that are, sometimes seen as gender nonconforming in various ways, and kind of exploring how, one's gender relates to one's practice or might relate to one's practice. I liked this. I liked this quite a lot. I think that it's a kind of book that is trying to do a lot of things. And I think a lot of people as a result are going to get something good out of this book. I also think that like the flip side of that is that for most readers, there will be parts of this that are really relevant and other parts that are not. So for me, not being a polytheist and not working with pantheons or deities in any kind of personified kind of a way, those parts were not so relevant to me. But I liked a lot of the ideas around, creating gender affirming ritual and things like this. So I liked this. And if you have questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments. But it was quite good, I think. And it was refreshing because another book that I read this month is The Kabbalion by 3 Initiates. Probably not actually by 3 people, but it is published as The Kabbalion by 3 Initiates. And this is a required reading for AODA apprentice curriculum for my Druid practice. So that is why I read this. It is a New Thought text masquerading as a Hermetic text. It is laden with gender binarist nonsense. I rate it 1 star. Done. Did not like. Knew I wouldn't like. Got through. Made some notes. Satisfying my curriculum requirements. I do not recommend reading The Kabbalion. There's a lot of wonderful books in the world and it is not one. So, moving on to the more spooky fiction that I've read this month. I read this wonderful long book by Jeff Vandermeer. And Jeff Vandermeer is associated with the New Weird. I've talked, I think, certainly about New Weird, and I believe about Jeff Vandermeer before. I've certainly read a fair amount of his work. Folks might be familiar with his work in that he wrote the trilogy called Area X Trilogy, the first book of which became the film Annihilation. Folks might be familiar with that one. This is a omnibus of 3 books This is why I said I read either 8 books or 11. It depends if you count this as 3 or 1. This is a trilogy. It's over 860 pages total. And the 3 books are City of Saints and Madmen, Shriek and Afterward, and Finch. And so these are 3 stories, all set in the same city at different time periods. And the city, it goes through a series of traumas. The city is founded on a attempt at wiping out those who were there first, and there's a lot of kind of supernatural aspects to the city. One of the blurbs in the front describes it as fungal noir, because there is this kind of fungal microbial aspect to the dynamic of this city. And it's a weird, if you know New Weird, then you know. Wonderful, strange set of books. City of Saints and Madmen is actually like 5 novellas set in the same city put together into one book. Shriek, the second book, is structured as a biography of a historian written by his sister. But it turns out that the historian was not actually dead when the biography was written, so you get the biography is in the sister's voice, but then there's kind of bracketed inserts from the historian himself, who's the subject of the biography, kind of correcting and making kind of comments towards the sister. So it's a very interesting kind of way of writing, I think. And then Finch, the last one, is a kind of detective story, murder investigation, with certainly kind of supernatural, multi-dimensional kind of aspects to it. It's very atmospheric. It is not fast-moving plot-wise. It is so complete, though, in how this city is established through all of these books. Like, the city is the main character, which I love. It is totally fully fleshed out in terms of kind of history and culture and religion and, economic dynamics, and it is so extraordinarily done. Very intricate, and Jeff Vandermeer is a great writer, so I enjoyed this. I got this because I had a gift card at the bookstore and they had this, and it's like, 3 books in one, this will be perfect. And so I've been kind of holding it for spooky October. And so that was a good spooky October inclusion. I read The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. And I had never read any Victor LaValle before. I have wanted to. And this October was like, I'm going to make a point of reading The Ballad of Black Tom, which I've had on my Kindle for a shocking amount of time, actually. And it is a horror novella. It is not quite a retelling, but certainly a riff on a H.P. Lovecraft story. And it does some really interesting things. Like, and for folks who are not aware, like, H.P. Lovecraft was extraordinarily racist and, otherwise discriminatory, and it is throughout his fiction. I've never read Lovecraft. I'm not going to read Lovecraft. But Victor LaValle in this book, The Ballad of Black Tom, this is a very specifically anti-racist retelling, an exploration of this Lovecraft story that I have not actually read. I liked The Ballad of Black Tom. I thought it was well written. I would read something else from Victor LaValle in a second, based on this. He has many other works. Victor Laval is also somebody who was one of the participants in the Literary Tarot project, like picking one of the pairings. I want to say maybe for the Tower card or the Death card. Certainly, it went in a horror direction in Victor Laval's pick in that project. Ballad of Black Tom is a hard one to talk about because it is a novella. It's quite short. It's hard to say much about it when it's a novella without just giving away the plot, right? Go read the blurb and see. I'm glad I got to read it though, and now I want to pick up something else by Victor Laval. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. If you've read a lot of Victor Laval and you have a suggestion for me, put it in the box, please. I read Rolling in the Deep by Myra Grant. Rolling in the Deep is about cannibal mermaids. It is a short book about an expedition that is going to, find mermaids, to see that mermaids are real, but it's a kind of film expedition being underwritten by a television channel. And so this boat full of kind of scientists, but also people who are professional mermaids in like aquarium parks and things, are all going out into the ocean. And of course, it turns out something's in the ocean and that something wants to eat them all. This is a prequel to a longer novel with a similar idea. I think I am going to read the novel. I thought this was good. I thought it needed more room, so maybe the novel I will prefer over the novella. We shall see. Myra Grant is the publishing name of Seanan McGuire when writing horror, is my understanding. Seanan McGuire and Myra Grant are the same human. I've read Seanan McGuire before. The Doorways something series. I read the first book of that and didn't love it. I liked this Rolling in the Deep much more. I thought that it was creepy. I am going to read more of Seanan McGuire as Myra Grant. I thought it was good. So, I read We Are the Crisis by Cadwell Turnbull. This is a sequel. This is a sequel to No Gods, No Monsters. And that one, caught my attention immediately because it's obviously a play on No Gods, No Masters, anarchist slogan. I have a book back there somewhere called No Gods, No Masters, which is an anarchist anthology. And so No Gods, No Monsters caught my attention. I loved it. And it has to do with kind of monsters, which in this series includes werewolves, vampires, several others, being kind of revealed as real and living among humans, right? And then We Are the Crisis is kind of the sequel wherein this is sometime after this kind of big reveal had occurred. And it's set in a kind of contemporary American setting with all the kind of attendant kind of political dynamics and social dynamics that go along with that. This is another one that almost, not similar at all, but in the same way as something like the Jeff Vandermeer book, I would say that Cadwell Turnbull as well crafts these novels in which the society is being captured in a particular sort of way. And in We Are the Crisis, as well as the predecessor, No Gods, No Monsters, it's almost like a series of kind of interconnecting short stories that are all different groups of people positioned differently in relation to this kind of issue that's happening, the coexistence of monsters and humans, and kind of different groups of people being differently impacted and navigating this in different kinds of ways. And it's excellent. This is so good. I think there's going to be a third one. I cannot wait. I think Cadwell Turnbull is fabulous. I've read one other of his books that is not in this series and really liked it as well. So definite recommend for, you know, it has spooky aspects. Like I almost wouldn't even classify it as horror necessarily. Definitely fantasy. Really, really good. Really, really, really good. Defies classifications in some ways, but really, really, really good. And lastly, but not least, and in no particular order, I read Never Whistle at Night, an Indigenous short fiction anthology edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. This was very good. This was scary. I found some of the short stories in Never Whistle at Night. I had to kind of stop. And I'm not scared by horror books easily or lightly, but there were some really like atmospheric and eerie, creepy stories in this. As an anthology, inevitably, there were ones that I liked more than others. There were some short stories in there that kind of really stood out to me, as being particularly excellent in my view, over some others. But overall, I would say like there's no filler. There's no filler in this collection at all. It's all good. Some of it very scary. And I will also just say like this, in ways that you would expect, I think, is like very, very content warnings heavy. This is not an easy book to read. I usually read fiction at night in bed when I'm, for that hour or so, like before going to bed. And this one I shifted to reading during the day because there are some really scary stories in here. I was excited to see that Wabgishig Rice was in here because I've been waiting for his sequel to Moon of the Crusted Snow, and the sequel has now come out. I would have it, except that I know that my mom bought it for me for a holiday gift, or I would have already bought it for myself. But really, really good. Never Whistle at Night, really good. Fucking scary. Really good. That was my reading. I had a good reading October. I feel like Jeff Vandermeer kind of like took up most of it because that was like just such a long book compared to all the others. But I read a lot of really good stuff this month. Not the Kybalion. The Kybalion sucked. But everything else was good, I would say. Everything else I read was good to great. Good October reading month. We've done decks. We've done books. Wish list. The deck wish list. I know what I wanted to mention. I found out by way of a YouTube chat that I just happened to kind of stumble into for a few minutes that Shaniqua Leach's That Afro Drip Tarot is on pre-order right now. So for folks who are unfamiliar, That Afro Drip Tarot is beautiful, contemporary deck. It didn't make it on a Kickstarter, but now it is being produced via pre-order, and there's a relatively long pre-order period. Like I think there's several months left to pre-order a copy. I'm gonna link below so that you can go check out Shaniqua's website and see that pre-order. I'm excited about this. I'm excited because that one has been on the wish list. That one is like way back here on the wish list, from when the Kickstarter was there. And I was hoping, obviously, that the deck would come into the world in one way or another. So I was really happy to see that pre-order is happening. That's fantastic. What else is here? I checked off the Flow Tarot on the wish list. I recently learned that it's not in print, but I recently learned that there's a small version of Many Queens Tarot that is now living on this list. I'm not a spend a fortune on eBay kind of tarot person, but if I happen upon a copy of the small version of Many Queens, then I would like to add that to my collection, I think. Other than that, I don't think anything on the list has really changed much, if at all. Bought 2 decks, the Flow Tarot and the Le Tarot des Paysages Intérieurs, which I basically wrote down on the list, and then checked off and bought. Not usually the way that goes, but there it is. I can't remember if I wrote down last time or not. The Aquarius Rising Oracle by Charlie Claire Burgess. That's an in progress kind of deck, not out yet. I'm interested in that for sure. And there's a handful of others that I'm still looking at, but I've mentioned them in different videos. I still have on my wish list things that are not checked off that I have not bought, and also that are not scratched out on the list, like that are still on the list right now, include the Small Many Queens, the Aquarius Rising Oracle, the Celtic Healing Oracle, which is a mass market one. I want to look into this one a little bit more. I like the style, like the art style a lot, but I'm not sure I want to look through a full kind of walkthrough of that. The Inner Eye Oracle by Stephen Bright. This is high on the wish list. I really want to add that to my collection at some point. It's mass market. I know it's not going anywhere. Tarot for the Great Outdoors. I'm terrified of the thin cardstock because this is a deck that I want to take camping, but it's on my wish list because the art is beautiful. I feel like I will add it to my collection. Maybe that's like an ask my mom for Christmas kind of thing. What else? Earth Blessings Oracle is still on there, also mass market. Statue Oracle by Lennon Smith is still on there. Make playing cards. Next time I'm on Make Playing Cards. The forthcoming sometime something, there's the odd article on the internet about it, Octavia Butler Tarot. Like, hell yes, of course it's on my wish list. No idea when it's coming out or what that's going to look like, but it's on there. The Mirror Oracle, which is going to be Amrit Brar of the Marigold Tarot's Oracle deck, that is on my wish list. That Afro Drip Tarot is on my wish list. And Sign of the Times Oracle by Crystal Banner is on my wish list. That is the totality of the wish list right now. So that's where that's at. Yeah. Tell me what's on your wish list. Tell me what you're looking forward to that's forthcoming release. I thought it was interesting. I will say something that I've observed about my wish list. I've been using this My 100 section in the Kinbor planner, where it's just 100 like numbered lines, and there's check boxes beside them. And there are 2 months of the year left, and I've only filled in 41 lines. I haven't bought 41 things, but like I've written down 41 things, a couple of them twice, like scratching them off and then putting them back on again. But I definitely don't need 100 lines for a wish list for a year. So this is something that I've learned for next year, because I have planners for next year. I will make a video about this once things are sorted out a little bit. I'm using the Kinbor Weeks again. This is a dated one. The other one was undated. And this one has it's not called My 100 in this one. It's called Favorites. But it has 100 of these lines with the check boxes on them. So there's like 50 here and then 50 on the next page. So I think that one of these will be decks to explore, deck wish list again, and then the other page will be a checklist for something else. I don't know what. 50 lines is not enough for me to do anything about books in it, so like I'm not sure what to use that for. I don't keep like wish lists of anything else, so I don't know what that will be. I don't know. I'm excited about planners though. Planner season is fun. If you're a planner person, this time of year is very exciting. So I will leave it there. That's my October ramble. I hope that it was coherent. After the 16-hour workday yesterday, I am really tired. Really tired. But I took this afternoon off work, so I wanted to, film while things are, quiet and I don't have anything else going on. So there it is. I will see you all again soon in the next video. In the comments, I wish you all well. I wish you a happy Samhain and happy Halloween, and whatever way you celebrate that, may it be all you wish it to be. See you soon.